What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Sideline to Sideline with your boy Tyson Ross. So the NBA season is wrapping up, which means we are talking MVP. Unfortunately, there won't be anybody on the Lakers on this list. That'll have to do for hopefully 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, 8 years down the line. But this year's MVP race is extremely tight. Kind of really a two-horse race. In other years, though, it'd be very wide open. You have guys like John Wall, point guard for the Wizards, leading them to a 50-win season. Guys like Isaiah Thomas from the Boston Celtics leading them to the number one seed in the East over the Cavs, averaging 29 points per game at a listed 5'10", probably 5'8", 5'9", doing unprecedented things for a guard his size. You have guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Bucks, who's really kept them in contention with Chris Middleton missing a lot of the year, as well as Jabari Parker after he tore his ACL again. And all due respect to guys like Kawhi Leonard, who's having a fantastic season himself for the Spurs, two-time reigning defensive player of the year, who's effortlessly stepped into that number one scoring role and leader for the Spurs in Tim Duncan's absence. And again, all due respect to LeBron James, who is doing unprecedented things in his age 32 season, averaging 26 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists a game, things that have never been done in this league before. Like I said, this is really a two-horse race between Russell Westbrook of the Oklahoma City Thunder and James Harden of the Houston Rockets. What Russell Westbrook is doing this year is absolutely unprecedented. Haven't seen anything like this from a superstar since Kobe Bryant had to lead the Lakers in the mid-2000s after Shaquille O'Neal left. Same thing here with Kevin Durant leaving for the Warriors in the offseason. Russell Westbrook has shown that he can put a team on his back and absolutely be the best player on the floor, by far and away the best player on his team. The man just broke the triple-double record in one season, 42 now, past Oscar Robertson. The record had stood since 1961-1962 season. The impressive thing about what Russell Westbrook has done in averaging a triple-double for the season as well, over 30 points per game, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, is that the pace of play compared to what Oscar did. Oscar had about 126 possessions per game to work with. Faster paced league at that time, a lot of scoring. Same season, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds. And Russell Westbrook, in this season, the average NBA pace is 96 possessions per game. So he's getting about 30 possessions less per game than Oscar did and doing the exact same thing. He's also leading the NBA in scoring at 31.9 points per game. The man is just on an absolute mission to prove that he is the best player in the NBA. The question with Westbrook this year, like it was for a lot of Kobe Bryant's career, and especially those middle years in the 2000s when he was really carrying the team, is his efficiency. He's only shooting 42.6% from the floor, 34.4% from three-point range. But if you match those up with Harden's actually not shooting much better. He's only shooting 43.8% from the field and a little uptick in the three-point percentage at 34.5%. Harden himself with those shooting splits is averaging 29 points a game, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. Great numbers in and of themselves. Almost just as impressive as Westbrook's. They're both very ball-dominant one guards. Harden this year actually slid over to the one spot for the first time in his career, has been a shooting guard his entire career up until now, and just seamlessly slid into that role, has done an amazing job for the Rockets. The thing with Harden and the Rockets, though, is that I just think that they're a more talented team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They have 4 guys that are shooting at least 37% from three-point range, taking more than 4 threes a game. Russ, on the other hand, only has 3 teammates that are shooting 36% or better. None of them shoot more than 4 threes a game. The Rockets are simply more potent on the offensive side of the ball and have much more weapons for teams to account to. Russ, on the other hand, is an absolute one-man show. When you think about the next best options on the Thunder, you look at guys like Victor Oladipo, the shooting guard. Pretty solid player, would most best be served as a 3 or 4 option on other teams, though. Steven Adams at center, not a guy that's going to get his own offense. Enes Kanter, the other center coming off the bench. He's a guy that really just plays ISO in the post. Doesn't help Russ out too much. You have Alex Abrinas and Doug McDermott out of the three-point line. They're not scary shooters. They're not intimidating anybody out there. Russ has really done it himself this year. People will argue with Harden that, the Rockets have more wins. They're number 3 in the West right now, while OKC is number 6 in the West. But you also have to look that the Western Conference is much stronger than the East. And if Oklahoma City was in the East, I wouldn't put it past Westbrook to lead them to a number 1 record in that conference. Another argument that tends to be made against Russ is the amount of turnovers that he has per game, which is at 5.4. But when you look at Harden's actually averaging 5.8 turnovers per game. They're playing almost the exact same number of minutes per game. Russ averages 35, Harden averages 36. And that's really just going to happen when you're a dominant guard like they are. The ball's constantly in their hands for much of the game. Their usage percentage is absolutely crazy. I really think you have to overlook the turnovers in this instance because everything else these guys do absolutely overweighs the 5 turnovers per game. I mean, if you look at it, that really only amounts to, about 15 points per game that they'd be giving up to the other team if you're scoring on every single possession off that turnover and hitting a 3 on every possession. So it's really not making that huge of a difference at the end of the game. And Russ is someone that, if there's anyone in the league right now that I want the ball in his hands with the last shot, it's Russell Westbrook. What he did in his last game, dropping 50 points against the Nuggets in his triple-double effort, breaking Oscar Robertson's record, and knocking the Nuggets out of the playoffs with that shot, is just absolutely huge. He lives for that moment. He lives for the bright lights and the big stage. I'm not sure if I can say the same for James Harden. I think that he shies away from the limelight a little bit. He acts like he wants it. What he says seems like he wants it. But look, taking the eye test into consideration, he's not a guy that I want taking that last shot. He's not a cold-blooded assassin in the mold of a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. I think far and away Russell Westbrook is the closest comparison to guys like that, and like Allen Iverson, that absolutely wanted the ball. No one else was going to take that shot in that situation. And with Kevin Durant gone, Russell's shown that he can shoulder that load and he can be that guy. There's also added intrigue between these two players being the top guys for the MVP consideration, as both their teams, the Thunder and Rockets, are probably going to play each other in the first round in the Western Conference. That's really going to say a lot about who really is the top dog. Unfortunately, the MVP is not going to be announced until June, however, so we're not going to get that storyline going into the playoffs, which I think really hurts the NBA. I understand it's a money-making ploy for them, putting the awards show in June, end of the season, can get everyone together. I think it makes it a lot more interesting for the fans, media, players alike, if Russ or Harden knew that they were named MVP and that other guy would really have something to prove, trying to prove the voters wrong and showing that, no, I was the MVP this season. With that being said, I'm sure you guys could figure it out. Russell Westbrook's my pick for MVP. Harden, like I've said, also had an amazing season, doing unprecedented things. But Russell Westbrook's on an absolute other level, when no other player in NBA history has averaged a triple-double since Oscar Robertson in 1962. That's absolutely unheard of. That's like someone hitting 80 home runs in a season in baseball or throwing for 60 touchdowns in a season in football. It's stuff that just doesn't happen, and we really need to appreciate this greatness. I think we're taking it for granted a little bit because he is doing it on a nice nightly basis. And people think that the numbers are inflated, but like I mentioned, the possessions per game compared to Oscar Robertson's season are way down. This is actually a slower pace than it used to be in the NBA. Russell Westbrook is the best player in basketball this year. I don't think there's any question about that. If you have an argument for someone else or Harden, leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to interact with you guys and hear that. I'm more than willing to hear your opinions about what you got. I'm an open-minded dude. Be expecting a follow-up episode after Harden Westbrook face off in the first round. I'm definitely going to give you guys my opinion on that. I'm excited for that series. We'll see how it goes. I'll bring you guys my first round playoff predictions in a couple days' time here after this video drops. Please like, share, subscribe. Once again, don't know where the links will be. Think they'll be there or down here, I was told. Until next time, this has been Sideline to Sideline with your boy Tyson Ross. Stay beautiful, you filthy animals.